In 2024, researchers at the University of New Mexico published a finding that stunned the neuroscience community. Brain tissue from Alzheimer patients contained 10 times more microplastics than brain tissue from age-matched healthy controls. 10 times. These microscopic plastic fragments, smaller than a grain of sand, are crossing the blood-brain barrier and accumulating in the exact brain regions that Alzheimer destroys. You cannot see them. You cannot taste them. But you are consuming an estimated 5 grams of plastic per week, roughly the weight of a credit card. And 7 of the most common sources are sitting in your kitchen right now. I'm Dr. Harlan Whitaker, 38 years in neurology. I don't sell supplements. I don't run a clinic anymore. I'm here because someone should tell you what your doctor doesn't have time to. You fill a plastic water bottle from the kitchen faucet. You heat leftover soup in a plastic container in the microwave. You drink your morning tea from a paper cup with a plastic lining at the coffee shop. You open a bag of chips sealed in plastic film. You run your dishwasher with pods wrapped in dissolvable plastic coating. You put on a fleece jacket made from synthetic polyester fibers. You breathe the air in your home where microscopic plastic fibers float invisibly from carpet, furniture, and clothing. Each of these actions releases tiny plastic particles into your body. They enter through your mouth, your lungs, and your skin. They travel through your bloodstream, and some of them end up in your brain. Most people hear the word microplastics and think about ocean pollution. Fish with plastic in their stomachs, turtles tangled in bags. That is where the awareness began. But the science has moved far beyond oceans. The myth is that microplastics are an environmental problem. The reality is that they are a human health problem, and the brain appears to be uniquely vulnerable. The blood-brain barrier is supposed to keep toxins out, but microplastics and nanoplastics, which are even smaller, can pass through this barrier. Once inside, they trigger inflammation. They disrupt the protective myelin coating on nerve fibers, and they may accelerate the amyloid plaque formation that characterizes Alzheimer's disease. Here is what we know about microplastics and the brain. Microplastics are fragments smaller than 5 millimeters. Nanoplastics are smaller than 1 micrometer, invisible even under a standard microscope. When you consume plastic, your gut absorbs some of these particles. They enter your bloodstream. They travel to every organ, including your brain. Animal studies have shown that nanoplastics accumulate preferentially in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, the 2 brain regions most affected by Alzheimer. Once embedded in brain tissue, plastic particles trigger an immune response. Microglia, the brain's immune cells, attempt to engulf and destroy the plastic. They cannot. The resulting chronic inflammation damages surrounding neurons. This inflammatory process mirrors the neuroinflammation seen in Alzheimer's disease. The University of New Mexico study measured plastic concentrations in 12 Alzheimer brains and 12 healthy brains. The Alzheimer brains contained an average of 0.5% plastic by weight in the frontal cortex. That is a measurable physical presence of foreign material in human brain tissue. Before we go further, I need you to hear this. If you have any of the following, stop and call your doctor before changing anything I described today. Kidney disease of any stage, liver disease or cirrhosis, diabetes treated with insulin. You take blood thinners like Eliquis or warfarin. You take a diuretic. You take a proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole. You have uncontrolled high blood pressure. This video is education. It is not personal medical advice. Nothing replaces a doctor who knows your chart. Now, with that said, here is what the research shows. I want to tell you about Judith. Judith was 70 years old, retired teacher from Sacramento, California. Judith came to me not because of memory problems, but because she had read about microplastics and the brain. She wanted to know what she could do. Judith lived a healthy life. She exercised, she ate well, but she drank 3 to 4 bottles of plastic water daily, microwaved food in plastic containers, and wore synthetic fleece jackets every day during winter. I told Judith what I am about to tell you. We cannot eliminate microplastic exposure entirely. They are in the air we breathe. But we can reduce the highest dose exposures by 60 to 80% with simple changes. And given what the emerging research shows, reducing exposure now is the most rational response while the science continues to develop. Here are the 7 daily sources of microplastics you can reduce starting today. Source 1. Plastic water bottles. A single liter of bottled water contains an average of 240,000 nanoplastic particles. Refilling and reusing the same plastic bottle makes it worse because repeated use causes more plastic to shed. Source 2. Microwaving food in plastic containers. Heat accelerates plastic breakdown. A plastic container in a microwave releases millions of micro and nanoplastic particles into your food in just 3 minutes. Source 3. Plastic-lined paper cups. The coffee shop cup that feels like paper has a plastic lining inside. Hot liquid leaches plastic from that lining directly into your drink. Source 4. Tea bags made of nylon or plastic mesh. A single plastic tea bag releases 11.6 billion microplastic particles per cup. Paper tea bags or loose-leaf tea have virtually none. Source 5. Synthetic clothing. Polyester, nylon, and acrylic fabrics shed microfibers when worn and washed. These fibers become airborne and are inhaled. A single fleece jacket releases up to 250,000 fibers per wash. Source 6. Non-stick cookware. Scratched Teflon pans release microplastic particles into food. A single scratch can release thousands of particles. Source 7. Plastic cutting boards. Every time you cut on a plastic cutting board, tiny plastic fragments shed into your food. A 2023 study found that a plastic cutting board releases 15 to 79 million microplastic particles per year of normal use. Here is your first action step. Look around your kitchen right now. Count the plastic items that contact your food or drink. Plastic water bottles, plastic storage containers, plastic cutting boards, non-stick pans, plastic mesh tea bags, and plastic wraps. Each one is a source. You do not need to replace everything today, but awareness is the first step. Here is your second action step. For 1 week, track how many times you heat food or drink in plastic. Microwaving in plastic containers, pouring hot coffee into plastic-lined cups, and running hot water through plastic bottles are the highest exposure moments. Heat plus plastic equals maximum particle release. Reducing heat exposure to plastic is the single highest impact change you can make. Things that increase microplastic absorption. First, a compromised gut lining. Chronic inflammation, regular NSAID use, or gut conditions like IBS increase the permeability of your intestinal wall, allowing more particles to enter your bloodstream. Second, dehydration. Concentrated body fluids may allow higher concentrations of plastic particles to deposit in tissues. Third, poor detoxification. Your liver processes some foreign particles. If your liver is compromised by alcohol, medications, or fatty liver disease, clearance may be impaired. Fourth, chronic stress. Stress increases blood-brain barrier permeability, potentially allowing more particles to cross into brain tissue. Here is what reduces your microplastic exposure. First, switch to glass or stainless steel water bottles. This eliminates the highest single source of nanoplastics. A good stainless steel bottle costs $15 to $25 and lasts years. Second, never microwave in plastic. Transfer food to a glass or ceramic dish before heating. This takes 10 seconds and eliminates millions of particles per meal. Third, switch to a wooden cutting board. Wooden boards are naturally antimicrobial and release zero plastic particles. A quality wooden cutting board costs about $20. Fourth, switch to loose leaf tea or paper tea bags. Check the packaging. If the bag is silky or mesh-like, it is plastic. Paper bags or loose leaf in a metal strainer eliminate this source entirely. This is the Whitaker Microplastic-Brain protocol. Step 1. Replace your plastic water bottles and food storage with glass or stainless steel within the next 30 days. Start with the items you use daily. Water bottle first, food containers second. Step 2. Never heat food in plastic again. Transfer to glass or ceramic before microwaving. This is the single change that eliminates the most particles per day. Step 3. Replace your plastic cutting board with a wooden one and switch to paper tea bags or loose leaf tea. These swaps cost under $30 total and eliminate 2 significant daily sources. Judith made all 7 changes over the course of a month. Glass water bottle, ceramic containers in the microwave, wooden cutting board, loose leaf tea. She even switched from fleece to cotton and wool jackets. She told me she could not know whether these changes protected her brain specifically, but she said that knowing what she knew, doing nothing felt reckless. She comes back for cognitive screening annually. At 73, her scores are stable. Whether that is because of the plastic reduction or just good genes, nobody can say for certain. But Judith says she sleeps better knowing she is not adding credit cards to her brain every week. Write your age below and tell me, how many plastic water bottles did you drink from this week? I read every comment. Here are your 5 takeaways. 1. Alzheimer brains contain 10 times more microplastics than healthy brains. 2. Never microwave food in plastic containers. 3. Switch to glass or stainless steel water bottles. 4. Replace plastic cutting boards with wood. 5. Choose paper tea bags or loose leaf over plastic mesh bags. Not every threat to your brain comes from disease. Some come from your kitchen. I don't sell supplements. I don't run a memory clinic. I profit from you not needing me. Protect what you have. I'll see you in the next one.